So we finally got some confirmation of a few more things for the upcoming Fallout TV show that's coming to Amazon Prime. It's coming in 2024, and the setting has officially been confirmed as Los Angeles in Vault 33. Now, I think I've covered this a couple of times on my channel here. We know that it's set sometime around the time, I think, of Fallout 3, but we don't know the timeline yet. Todd Howard apparently showed off a very quick snippet at Gamescom this past couple days, and I've avoided looking at the spoilers because I don't want to have anything spoiled yet. But I may look at it soon. We'll see, because they also said they're not going to be releasing that snippet to the public, and I know people record it with their phones, and apparently it's just a short snip showing like a nuke or something, so it's not that big of a deal. But this is supposedly, like I said, set in Los Angeles around Vault 33, and it says it's going to be telling an original story set in and around said vault. Today's new tidbit, of course, being the fact that it's set in LA and coming out in 2024. They said, out of context, it doesn't seem terribly remarkable. This is according to Polygon. Most TV shows are shot in LA. How convenient that this one will also be set there. However, when it comes to Fallout, there's some interesting implications to the locale, given that Los Angeles is kind of close to Las Vegas, the setting for Fallout New Vegas, the best Fallout game. I think that that's highly subjective, that that's the best one, although I think many fans do love it. Says here, setting the show in Southern California also means that the Fallout game's New California Republic might show up, a faction in the post-apocalyptic wastelanders attempt to restore the pre-war way of life. So while they are less flashy than the armor-clad Brotherhood of Steel, the NCR is one of the more politically interesting factions in Fallout. At their best, it could be a vehicle for exploring the notion of civilization as a tool of the Empire. That's cool and all, but there's an article I wanted to read for you, but the problem is it does not show up good in dark mode. So I'm going to apologize in advance for the brightness because it looks wonky in dark mode, so I got to turn dark mode off, everybody. But Rotten Tomatoes has an editorial up, and it dives into things a little bit more. Specifically, it talks a lot more about the cast. It says here the game is set around the same time as the games, but we don't know exactly when. He didn't specify at Gamescom. Um, Fallout 76 being set 25 years after the bombs dropped. Fallout 4 is set 175 years after that, where it's going to be taking place. I think I heard before that it was sometime around Fallout 3, but if anybody knows more than me, please confirm down below. Um, and it's being showrun by Nolan, excuse me, not Chris Nolan, but Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy. And these were the two that headed out Westworld, which I absolutely loved, even though, yes, the later seasons were slow, and yes, it ultimately did get canceled from HBO. I did really enjoy Westworld and all the things they did with the storyline and the VFX and everything else. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they can pull out from this. There's a whole bunch of more information about cast and crew here. They are the writing and executive producers crew. Said that Howard announced at Gamescom that Nolan had already directed the first 3 episodes of the show. Joining them is fellow executive producer Athena Wickham, who is also an executive producer on Westworld and a fellow Kilter employee. So all this is being produced through Kilter Films, by the way, which is owned by Lisa Joy and Jonathan Nolan. Writing staff includes Jennifer Robertson Dworet, who co-wrote Captain Marvel, and Graham Wagner, who worked on Portlandia. Um, Dun, dun, dun. Executive produced by Todd Howard, as well as James Altman, who is the director of publishing operations for Bethesda. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see here. It's going to be handled by Kilter and Bethesda Softworks, which is new to television. Bethesda Game Studios, also new to TV production. And Amazon Studios, who does all these cool things. Now, I already knew that Walter Goggins was going to be involved, which made me want to watch it even more because I love Walter Goggins. Justified was an amazing show, but also his turn as the transvestite in Sons of Anarchy was just freaking awesome. I love Walter Goggins. Um, but here's some other. I did not know that Kyle MacLachlan was involved, and I'm a huge Kyle MacLachlan fan. I follow him on social media. I've loved him since his turn as Paul Atreides in Dune all those years ago. Blue Velvet, some other fun stuff. Of course, Twin Peaks. Um, So we know that he's involved, Walter Goggins is involved, Ella Purnell is involved, Zelia Mendez Jones is involved from the Wheel of Time, also Johnny Pemberton, Aaron Moten, Moises Arias. We don't know who their characters are. It says also no word if Keith David or Clancy Brown or CCH Pounder or Ron Perlman are coming back, as they were cast members from the first game, which was originally set in LA. And of course, Ron Perlman, who has been the narrator for I think every game at some point. Um, we don't have an actual premiere yet. Of course, there's an actor strike going on right now, but I'm wondering if they've already finished filming this. But it's not coming out until 2024, so at the very least, we've got like a year wait until this comes out. So, but it's kind of cool. We got confirmation of the setting and a cool new visual, so I'm excited. I can't wait to see this show. Like I said, I'm not intimately familiar on all of the Fallout lore. I've played most of the games, but I did not play New Vegas or Fallout 4. Sorry guys, I was busy with traveling at the time that those games came out. I have been slowly kind of dabbling in Fallout 4 in the last couple of months as I was playing to prep for Starfield, but now that Starfield's dropping next week, I'm not going to have any time to continue that. But maybe at some point I'll get around to doing New Vegas and Fallout before the show comes out, Fallout 4, I should say. But I did play the first three games, and I also played Fallout 76 for a few months late last year and had a lot of fun in that as well. And I think just it's a cool franchise, especially now. And I was watching Silo recently on Apple TV, and that show has a lot of similarities in the sense that they're all living in these giant silo bunkers, and they have, there was a nuclear, war outside, and there's a lot of other complications going on in that show. But the similarities were such that when I was watching the show, which if you haven't watched that, by the way, if I would argue that if Amazon Studios can pull off a show that is as good as Silo is for Apple TV with Rebecca Ferguson, they're going to have a hit on their hands because that show is freaking amazing. And obviously, there is a completely different environment because that's mostly about life inside the silo. And the Fallout games have traditionally been about, you start off in the silo or you start off in the shelter, and then you eventually make your way out into the world and deal with the mutants and everything else that's out there, and of course the factions that were mentioned earlier on in the video, and the Brotherhood of Steel and everything else. So I'm very interested in this show. I can't wait to see what they're going to do. I love the fact that they're doing an original story, so they're not staying bound to any of the known characters or anything like that, which immediately means that we don't have to deal with the purists who are going to rant and rave that, well, they didn't do this character right, and they didn't do this right, and I don't like what they did here. Well, you don't get to say any of that because it's an original story, and the fact that Todd Howard and all the Bethesda crew are involved with the production as much as everybody else means that it's being shepherded by the people who know what they're talking about in the first place. So, love to hear your thoughts. If you know more about this show, drop that stuff down in the comments below. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, join our Discord. I'll see everybody in the next one. Daily streams at 11 a.m.